Hey folks, today we are taking a look at the Go-Buster BC04 Beetle and SJ05 Stag Beetle from the Go-Buster toy line. Both of these were purchased off of eBay as I couldn't get them anywhere else. So as you see right here, this is the way they are deployed in the show. They are normally deployed together like this with the Stag jet sitting on top of the Beet crane truck, I think is what it's called. It's just kind of a Beet crane. It's kind of weird. So let's go ahead and take them apart and get a look at them individually. BC04 is the larger of the two vehicles, and that's because it actually has a robot mode as opposed to SJ05, which just turns into a bunch of accessories. Now, the overall look of the crane truck isn't so bad. I actually do like it quite a bit, though that crane arm is a little bit big. It's kind of crazy, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, it does come with a couple of accessories along with the crane arm. There are two bits on the side here that form either blades, swords in robot mode, or giant guns in robot mode. And as you can see here, they are also guns. So let's go ahead and take those off and see what the unit looks like. Now, these guys just pop right off, and they pop right apart too. As you can see, I did break it in half, but they just snap back together. So we'll take a look at the sword and the gun modes in a little bit, but they do fold up quite nicely for storage. So we'll take a look at the other one and pop that off. So here's what BC04 looks like without those gun sword thingies, and it's nice. I like it. The black, the gold, it's a very, very cool look. You can actually deploy the crane in this mode, and it's okay. It's kind of dumb looking, but you've got the crane here, and then the crane head can extend, which I do appreciate, but it doesn't extend that far, maybe an inch at the most. Not a bad gimmick, but kind of silly, kind of dumb. Does have a full 360-degree rotation on the back of the crane, but you do have to be careful as it will pop off at the slightest drop of a hat. So, what is the other mode for this guy? Well, it is a Beetle, believe it or not. So let's go ahead and get him into his Beetle mode. I'm going to remove this, or the crane part, just for the beginning. So what we'll do is we'll reach around the back and unpeg the back parts of the wheels and fold them across over the front, flipping up the bits that the swords plug into, and then fold them all the way out. Turn the figure over, fold down the second back parts like that, and this is where we're going to reattach the crane truss, because we need to have the crane coming out from underneath of this mode. So instead of just connecting it there, what we actually have to do is twist it like this, so the little bit right there is poking up, because that will plug into the bottom of the Beetle's nose, like that. And then finally, take the guns, fold them out, and then flip them upside down so the blue part is pointing out, and they become feet. They become Beetle legs. So we'll flip them in like that. This guy gets plugged in over here. Come on. There we go. And here we have the Beetle. And the one thing I forgot to do is actually come up to the crane and split it open. So there is the Beetle mode. Now the Beetle mode I actually do kind of like. I like the Beetle mode. It looks good. It's nice and bright and shiny and pretty cool, but ultimately it's very, very silly. I mean, a crane truck into a Beetle? Come on. Of course, this is from the line that brought us the the tractor trailer into a monkey or gorilla, and the sports car into a cheetah, and the helicopter into a bunny. So the bug mode is actually not that bad. Along with the bug mode, he does have a robot mode, so let's go ahead and get him into that. First, we're going to remove the crane and just put that off to the side. Then we'll reach onto the sides and pull off the weapons and fix them, because I keep breaking them. And I just like to fold them up and put them off to the side. Then we'll act like we're going to form the bug mode again, where we fold down fold forward the truck bits, reach underneath the vehicle, and there are two buttons right here. So push them That will allow you to elongate the vehicle mode. And then reach underneath and actually push down these vents, and they will flip around to form feet. And then when you do that, you can actually open up the front of the vehicle mode to form the bottom of the legs. For the top of the robot mode, first thing we're going to do is fold up the connector piece that connected to the crane. Fold these sections down. Now for the bug mode, we folded them all the way down, but only fold them halfway down, and then take the bug front and pull it as far back as it'll go. Then reach underneath where the bug part was, flip that down to flip up the head, and then take the crane part, and it'll peg in right there. And you have to find the peg, or the peg connector, which is right there, and there's a little peg that it'll snap into right back there. So it doesn't make an audible snap, you just have to kind of get it in there. And then open up the crane and fold the arms down. There we go. And here we have Go-Buster Beet. Overall, though, the figure isn't that bad looking. I do like the color scheme. The gold, the black, and the grayish silver do work really, really well. That is a definite positive in this figure's defense. However, I despise the arms. The arms are coming out of the bottom part of the chest, or bottom part of the top of the chest, and they just don't look right. The rest of the figure is somewhat bulky, and then you have the arms coming out at these weird angles, and they just don't look good at all. They look really, really bad. I just cannot get past the arms. They just look absolutely terrible. But the rest of the figure is fine. The rest of the figure looks good, it's highly detailed, and it looks pretty darn cool. Now, let's go ahead and talk about accessories. Go-Buster Beet's accessories can be used in one of two ways, the first of which are guns. And the guns actually work really, really cool, or work really well. You plug them into the little bits down here at the bottom, you fold the arms forward such that you can line up the bottom of the fists with the guns. So we'll just do that for both sides, because then you get these kind of knee-mounted cannons, which I actually find really cool. I know he only used them in the show once so far, but I think that's very, very cool. Built-in cannons, a very good option. Now, what you could do from here is detach the guns and then use them as swords. So detach the guns, turn them around, and peg them, or plug them in like this. And then you've got some swords. Now, one problem. This makes the figure really top-heavy, and if the feet were any shallower, the figure would fall forward. But as it is, just the slightest tap will make him go forward. But that's okay. I don't mind that too much. I do, however, mind the fact that you're not really cutting the bad guys. You're just kind of smacking them very hard. But I suppose there's supposed to be a blade here in the front. I don't know. It looks more like glorified can openers, that he's wielding giant glorified can openers than swords. But I do like the accessories. I think that is a very nice touch. Here's a quick size comparison for Go-Buster Ace and Go-Buster Beet. As you can see, Go-Buster Beet is much more lithe and thin, while Go-Buster Ace is bigger and just kind of wider. They are roughly the same size in height, but they are different compositions and different constructions. I do like the differences, though. They do look very cool next to each other. Overall, BC04 isn't too bad. The robot mode is really lacking in the aesthetics department thanks to the arms. I can't get past that. But otherwise, it looks fine. It's not a bad figure. It's got an interesting robot mode. It's got cool accessories. It has an interesting, if not very strange, animal mode. And I like the crane truck. The crane truck is pretty nifty. So let's go ahead and take a look at SJ05. SJ05's jet mode is just silly. Plain and silly. There is no way something like this could fly in the real world, but Sentai, what are you going to do? So the jet mode, it's very strange. It's really bulky. And I don't particularly care for the jet mode. I get what they were going for, but it doesn't really work all that well. And the reason I say that is because You've got these tiny little wings, this big brick body, cockpit, and then what's obviously a helmet hanging off the tail fins. It's just weird. Now, for the bug mode, what you can do is reach back here, and I'm sorry, you could reach in the back and pull that, and that'll do, pull this lever, that'll do nothing. What you do is you take the cockpit and flip it up, and then push it into the body to deploy the front stag beetle parts, and then to get the cockpit out, you push that button. So there's that, and then what you do is you reach around the side and flip down these bug legs, like that, and then fold up the wings to deploy the other bug legs. So there we have the weirdest stag beetle on the planet. So getting a good 360 look at the stag beetle mode, this just doesn't work for me. I see where they were going. I see what they were trying to do. It's just stupid. The Buster Beet's beetle mode was silly. This is just dumb. Playing into a stag beetle, it just doesn't work for me. I think the bug mode is just dumb. Plain and simple, it's just stupid. So what does this guy do exactly? Well, we'll return him to jet mode here really quickly, and I will show you. Now, in the show, you see him become weapons, and that is very simple. All we're going to do is just completely rip the thing apart. Reach into the back and pull off the rear of the vehicle, then reach into the middle here and actually disconnect 3 parts of the vehicle mode. So you've got these 2 side parts, this middle fuselage part, and this rear chest piece, which then you can pop this mask off. So, what do we do with all of this? Well, for starters, take the 2 outer halves and plug them together, snap them together, and then what I like to do is fold up these connector bits, and you'll see why here in a second. And then fold up the wings. Well, before you fold up the wings, kind of figure out a way to deploy the mandibles, because we need the mandibles here. So, oh, there we go. We could just come inside and push down these buttons, and that will fold out the mandibles. So, deploy the mandibles, and flip up the wings, and then just get everything ready. So, let's go ahead and grab Buster Beet here, and get everything merged up. So for Buster Beet, we can take the mask and actually plug that into his butt. It just plugs on right there. And then take the gun side with the gun and put that in this hand, and it's got to be in the crane hand because it's the only, it fits perfectly right there in with the crane. Take the thruster cannon thingy and attach that to the chest using the peg that holds the crane in, so like that. And then take the arms, and there are 2 connector ports here, and they plug into the holes on either side of the arm there, so like that. And there we go, we have Buster Beet Hercules. And the last thing, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing, fold open the face mask, like that. So there we have Buster Beet Hercules. It looks very formidable. But if you put anything forward, like he's going to shoot, he falls flat on his face. Like that. And there's nothing you could do about it. So actually, Buster Beet Hercules actually looks pretty cool. I do like this look. It is silly, ultimately, but I dig it. I kind of like it. It's funny. It's just silly. One big problem, however, you can't really pose the other arm at all. There's nothing you can do about it, which is annoying. But you can actually take Go-Buster Ace and do something similar. So Go-Buster Ace can also hold these for the gun. Take this piece right back here, slide it into the hand like you would the sword, and then swing it forward, like that. So he can hold the gun, and then take the arm and fold the arm up like you would for when you merge him up, and then you can peg the stag beetle right into it. And that is a little bit of a tricky. That is a little tricky because you have to deal with the hand here. You just have to kind of fiddle with it until you can get everything lined up. There we go, GoBuster Ace with extra armaments, with stag armaments. So we've got the stag gun and the stag pincer thingy. So that actually looks pretty cool. I still think it's absolutely ridiculous having an entire plane fuselage as a gun, but hey, what are you going to do? It is Super Sentai. The only complaint I would have is just the arm hanging off the back there. That is ridiculous, but hey, what are you going to do, like I said. So, as a comparison, here are the vehicle modes of all 5. We've got Rabbit, Gorilla, Cheetah, Beet, and Stag. So, just wanted to give you guys a quick look at all of them as we move into the final part of the review. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these guys into animal mode so you can you can see the differences there as well. And here are the different animal forms. We've got the rabbit, the gorilla, the cheetah, and the beetles. So as you can see, they are definitely different sizes, though the gorilla is still my favorite. I really do like him. So let's go ahead and take a look at their ultimate combination. To start, we formed up Go-BusterOh. So you all remember Go-BusterOh, right? Well, we're going to have to do a little work on him first. Start off, we'll reach in here and remove Monkey. Then pull off his arms. And remove his hat. And that's it. Now on to the other two. For Stag, we're going to do the same thing that we did for Buster Hercules. Just completely pull them apart. And return the mandibles to their proper location. And that's it for Stag. For Buster Beet, remove the accessories. Remove the crane. Take the head of the beetle, pop that off, and then take the legs or the front of the crane truck and split them in half. Now for this guy, the first thing we're going to do is, this side is okay, but you see some stuff sticking off the bottom of this side. So we'll just fold those bits up like that. So they're nice and flat. Next, for these two halves, we're going to take the accessories, fold the accessories up, and plug the accessories onto their little holders, and fold them down like that. And that will become the feet. So then we'll take the feet of GoBusterOh and plug these guys into the feet. Get it lined up. 2. Next, take the cannon, fold those wings straight down, plug the cannon in to the chest like that, and well, fold those out just a little bit so that the wheels here, actually forgot to fold them up, not down. So like that. And then take the stag sections and turn them around. And the arms are there, so those plug up there. And take the big bunny helicopter ears, open them up, and plug them up in front. Next, these 4 pieces come together. So 1, 2, and this gets a little funny. So what we need to do is take the helmet here, and kind of just drop it straight down in between the yellow pieces. Open the crane. Take this bit and plug it into the top like that. Take the mask and plug it in up there. And there we've got one of the weapons. The other weapon is going to be the fuselage Fuselage Gun. Finally, the faceplate. I present Great Go-BusterOh. That squeaking you hear is my turntable trying to turn. This thing is heavy. I mean, this thing weighs a good 4 to 5 pounds. And it's giant. At the top of the yellow rabbit feet there behind the head, it's 15 inches tall. To the top of the spear, 17 inches. In the past couple of years of Sentai, we haven't had anything that really screams cluster effer. This screams cluster effer. And it's just insane. Now, in the show, these units were never meant to combine, and they actually said that. Whoops! That is something that they just had to come up with in order to beat the bad guys. So they made this combination. Like I said, these units were never meant to combine in the show, but they ended up combining them. And it shows. Now, I don't think it's going to come off that just how big this thing is and how unwieldy. I mean, the legs are beefy, but it's not small on the depth department either. I mean, it's just this colossal backpack of a unit as well. It's got a huge backpack and it's got a huge front, we'll say. It's just crazy. It is absolutely off the wall crazy. And we really haven't had that in Sentai in a while. I do appreciate the craziness, but it's not perfect by any means. The time it takes to get this thing merged up is a pain. Just getting everything lined up is a pain. The unit actually can't really hold its spear all that well because there's not enough clearance really. It has to keep its arm at that point, and then when you plug it in, there's really not much holding it into place because most of the time the spear will just kind of fall to the side because of that weight is all up here. Then there's the gun. Then there's this gun, which just goes on in either hand. And there's nowhere to put it if you don't want to use it. It just kind of sits on the ground. It's kind of useless, honestly. Overall, it's not bad, but I'm not a fan of it simply because it's crossed that line. There is a line that a lot of Sentai figures come up to. There's the, okay, this is a crazy combination, but it works, like G12 formation. Yeah, that was off the wall, but it worked in some fashion. For me, this doesn't work, simply because it's just a mishmash of stuff making legs, and then it's just a mishmash of parts up top. There's no cohesion. There's no camaraderie. This is very much Samurai Ha-Oh all over again. It's just crazy, and you know, sometimes crazy doesn't work. So if you're a Super Sentai fan, do you need BC04 and SJ05 in your collection? If you've been collecting the other mecha from the GoBusters line, then yes, I would say go ahead and get them. But at the price of $150 shipped, that is a high barrier to entry for a lot of people. So what I would do is I would wait a little while for the candy models to come out. Now I do have the candy models of the rabbit and the gorilla, I just haven't had time to film, or I haven't had time to film them, and I haven't had time to build them either. So I would wait and get those when those come out, because they're going to be significantly cheaper than what you'll end up paying for a great GoBusterOh in the long run. Now, are they any good on their own? I think Buster Beet is fine on its own. BC04 is actually pretty cool on its own. I do have complaints about the robot mode, simply because of the arms. That's just a personal thing that drives me bonkers. But SJ05 on its own is kind of worthless. You really need both of them together in order to be really good, or in order to get your money's worth. So, like I said, if you can afford all of the Great GoBusterOh set in the deluxe class, which these are, go ahead and get it, especially if you're a Sentai completist like myself. But if you can't, go, if you can't afford that, or if you don't want something that big, wait for the models, the little candy models, to come out, because they're significantly cheaper and much more posable, and you'll probably get more play out of them. So this is Spada. I'll catch you next time, and catch me on Twitter at baltmatrix.com. I'm sorry, at twitter.com/baltmatrix, and don't forget to subscribe to my videos. I'll see you later.